Bureau of Land Management/Flickr. The United States has an extensive system of amazing parks. From the Shenandoah National Park, close to where I grew up, to Sequoia National Park, where I am a trustee for Lost Soldiers Cave, our national parks connect Americans to our remarkable landscapes and wilderness areas. I have annual passes to both the U.S. and the California parks and recreational areas. So when someone asks what we need in terms of parks, my visceral answer is always, more. But others view the national monument and national park systems differently. Right now, the Trump administration is re-evaluating them with an eye towards shrinking some and opening up others to mining and development. The economist in me wants to ask, what are the trade-offs of making such changes in our parks? And how are such changes valued? Let's start by acknowledging there is always a trade-off between economic activity and the environment. Everything we do, from sheltering and feeding ourselves, to going to movies and ball games, changes the natural environment around us. And this is not new. Pre-Columbian hunter-gatherers altered the environment as they burned Great Plains grasses in their quest for buffalo burgers. What are the costs of such alteration? For a long time, planners have sought to ascertain the value of urban open space. A recent study by Harvard lecturer Linda Bilmes and Colorado State University professor John Loomis tried to estimate the value of the National Park Service system. It is a big number, $92 billion. But even then, they admit that many aspects of the park system are undervalued because putting any price on them would be speculative at best. Among these difficult-to-price aspects are the health and psychological benefits to those who use the parks, and to those who don't use the parks, but who benefit from changed behavior by those who do. Their analysis also does not consider the opportunity cost of the parks, in other words the money that might be made were they not parks, but privatized for housing, mining, logging, or commercialized recreation. The Trump administration's current evaluation is focused on those parks that are designated as national monuments under the Antiquities Act of 1906. While there are huge challenges in conducting a cost-benefit analysis of the national monuments, it is still a worthwhile exercise to think about the values that can be pinned down. Let's begin with an easy example. The Statue of Liberty is a national monument. It sits in New York Harbor on Liberty Island, prime real estate. In 2016 there were over 4.5 million visitors. They paid about $27 each to visit, which includes the boat ride to and from, and admission tickets to all or part of the monument. If we compare this to Manhattan skyscrapers that have an average age of over 60 years, then over the same amount of time visitors will have spent more than $7 billion at the monument. Again, we don't count those who benefit because others have been inspired by their visit to the Statue of Liberty, nor the value of connecting us to our heritage. It is undeniable that these are significant. An alternative to the statue would be a skyscraper. The island would be prime real estate for building exclusive condos with views of the city and the harbor. The value would be diminished by the fact that domestic and maintenance workers would have to be paid more to get over to the island, and that access to the city would require a boat ride. So perhaps the comparable development is the Kushner family's 666 Fifth Avenue office tower, another prime property. The Kushners paid $1.8 billion for it, and the New York Times reports that they expect to spend $3.3 billion to renovate it. When you add this up, $5.1 billion, it is clear that the Statue of Liberty monument, with a value of $7 billion plus, is worth more than the alternative condo skyscraper occupying the same land. And this is just the pure economic cost-benefit analysis. It leaves out the non-pecuniary value of being inspired by Lady Liberty, of connecting us to our heritage, and of reminding Americans that we were all once immigrants yearning to breathe free. Wikimedia Commons. So it's clear why no one, as far as I know, is contemplating selling or leasing parts or all of Liberty Island. But what about Bears Ears National Monument, the first target of Interior Secretary Ryan Zink's effort to shrink national monuments and open them up for development? I'm betting that, at least until recently, you never had heard of it. Bears Ears is in a remote part of southern Utah. But as an example, Bears Ears is instructive, and the economics are a bit more complicated. First of all, Bears Ears, like many monuments, is free to visit. So we don't have admissions revenue to look at. Plus, the remoteness of the park means it will not have the same level of visitor traffic as the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Of course, luxury condos are not an alternative in such a remote place.